What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Renegade Marquee on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. Joining me, as always, is the streaming demon, Jacob.
Hello, everybody.
And joining us once again, we've got Hayden.
Howdy.
And today's episode is going to be a short but fun one. Our main feature will be the Forever Purge, and a look at the Purge franchise in general. But first, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention the passing of Richard Donner, who passed away sadly at the age of 91. And he leaves behind quite a legacy of films on a number of genres. Obviously, we all know him for directing Superman the movie, but he's also gotten The Omen, The Goonies. He directed one of my favorite movies that my family and I watch every Christmas Eve, Scrooged. And he's also best known for the Lethal Weapon franchise. Any one of you have a particular favorite of his?
I've only seen two of them, really, Superman and Scrooged. But just from that track record alone, I could tell he was a very talented man. You know, his movies, they seem to have a real craftsmanship to them. You know, he always embraced whatever genre he was making.
Shout out to The Omen, which is a really excellent horror film that deserves its reputation as a classic.
And if you're asking why I haven't seen much of these movies, blame college, blame being too damn busy to watch movies like I once did before college.
That's fair. But luckily, there's plenty of time to catch up.
So rest in peace, Richard, and thank you for helping us believe a man can fly.
Indeed. Now, before we get to our main event, we are introducing a kind of new segment. These are the Marquee Extras, movies that not everyone has seen, but we still want to talk about anyway. The first one is for Zola, which that movie never came to my theater, but I know Hayden really wanted to talk about this one, so the floor is yours.
So, I first heard about this movie when there was a little tweet thread in 2015 that inspired this movie. So therefore, you can say this is the first film based on a tweet. Therefore, you can say this is the first film based on a Twitter thread. And in this case, yes, I have read the source material. So it is a very unique film. A24, so you kind of know what you're going to get with them, but director Janixa Bravo gave us like such a unique little film here that really takes full advantage of the medium, is not afraid to go several places, and it's also really funny. The performances by Taylor Page, especially Riley Keough, and a really chilling performance by Coleman Domingo make this, like, I think my new favorite of the year so far. So there's like a lot of stuff to love, like this editing and filming. It was filmed in 16 millimeter, which gives it a really unique and entertaining vibe. A lot of the jokes just like really land and really work. And never have I been more thankful that James Franco did not write/direct the movie, because he was attached before Janixa Bravo and Jeremy O. Harris took on the mantle.
Oh God, that would have been different.
It would have likely been a complete disaster, and I'm so thankful that didn't happen.
I should also point out that I have seen Zola in the theater as well. It's just that I'm not going to really voice my opinions because I'm sure I agree with Hayden on most of everything about it. It is definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I look forward to eventually seeing this one. If not in theaters, then definitely once it hits video on demand.
It's apparently been selling out like the more like art house theaters in like big cities. So, and like it's made approximately 2 million so far,
Wow.
which
It was
which is pretty good considering what it is and how it wasn't really marketed. I haven't seen it marketed as much as a lot of movies that came out this week. So hopefully they might like expand it to some theaters, but yeah, it's not it. Hopefully it does a little better. Also, if you go see it, like try to make sure like you see it with like a full audience, because I've actually seen it twice now. Both times I've been in it with an audience, the reactions really do kind of make the movie worth it.
Nice.
So because like it really does feel like a kind of a weird communal experience where you just experience it together, and I think audience reactions make up like a lot of the enjoyment.
Geez, and I thought I was lucky when I was the only one in the theater. I don't know, judging from that, maybe it would have benefited from seeing it in a crowd.
Yeah, I mean it depends on what you want, but for me, like I really liked hearing like audiences laughter and reaction to certain moments.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Hopefully if my theater does get it, it does attract a particular audience.
Yeah, so it could be like a midnight type of movie or something.
Yeah, I will say that I have been quoting it like a lot like throughout the last couple of days now, because there are a lot of great one-liners.
So it sounds like it could make a lot of meme material that could be applied to almost every movie.
It as well it should.
All right. Well, in that case, we move on. Well, we'll get to the Forever Purge in a minute, but first, how about we go around and just kind of share our general thoughts on the franchise. I'll go first by saying, generally speaking, with the exception of the 2013 film, which I didn't even hate, it's just Ethan Hawke is really the best thing about it. Everything else is just kind of, all this setup and world building, all to be pushed aside for a generic home invasion movie. Just kind of made the first movie just feel underwhelming. But the sequels are where this franchise really shines. I'd say Purge Anarchy is still my favorite. Followed by the first Purge, which is a prequel set before the Purge really just became what it was. And then you got election year. And then we have the Forever Purge, the fifth, and I use this term loosely, final installment of the franchise, directed by Everardo Valerio Gout and written by James DeMonico. All the rules are broken as a sect of lawless marauders decides that the annual purge does not stop at daybreak and instead should never end. Jacob, I'll go to you first. Your general thoughts on the Purge franchise?
Everything you say about the first one is basically true. It was a disappointment to see such an intriguing premise, like all crime being legal for 12 hours a year, just being wasted on such a stale, like lifeless home invasion movie. It's disappointing to say the least. The sequels are better in the sense that they have a larger cast. They have higher stakes this time. All of them are better, but they don't really cross the threshold into becoming great movies, I would say. I mean, there's always kind of something about the ending that just kind of, I don't want to say ruin it, but it does kind of bring it down a peg a little bit. Like, it doesn't like this franchise, it does have a habit of never truly fulfilling its potential. And I'm not just talking about the first one.
Hayden?
So, echoing all of these sentiments on the first film, which, besides, again, Ethan Hawke, and I will also add Lena Headey. I actually do really like her in general. I think she did an admirable job with what she was given. But then, like, they started realizing, okay, what didn't work about the first one? We are going to fix this and take advantage of the premise and go a little more ridiculous with it and just not really take it quite as seriously as we did in the first. And then like, again, so that was a very enjoyable one. I think they, again, upped the ante a little for me personally with Election Year, the third one. And again, very entertaining. Then something interesting happened. Now, I don't know if anybody was watching the news in November 2016, but there was something pretty significant that happened. I don't know. And suddenly I went from thinking, wow, this is so ridiculous and could totally never happen ever. And then I saw the first Purge, and suddenly I'm like, oh, I can totally see this happening. And now I'm like very depressed. And then that kind of also like happened again with the new one. So yeah, this franchise like did sadly, I think, predict a lot more than people give it credit for. And I could totally, and they did it again with this one, given the events on January 6th of this year. There was a lot in the Forever Purge that I felt gave it like a lot more of a chilling vibe. That there are people out there who will just not care about the rules and just continue perpetuating this violence over and over again. And that's just something that stuck with me. And like, that's like just why I think that this franchise like does deserve a little bit of credit, because it does go places that you wouldn't expect a little short home invasion franchise, a little home invasion movie to go to.
Yeah.
And to all the people complaining that this franchise is suddenly political, where have you been? Literally,
I was just about to bring that up.
Paying attention to all of the past movies, like literally all of them. I'm just gonna say it. A lot of audience members are stupid. Like, they just will not understand very obvious themes being thrown in your face. And like so many movies like that have come out have proven that they just don't understand movies.
Like even in the first movie, which is not very good, at least like the ideas of that would later be further developed in the sequel are still like planted pretty plainly in that movie. So if you're complaining,
the trailers played a disturbing version of America the Beautiful. I don't know how you could miss any of this.
Right. And
baffles.
The poster like for the first Purge is literally just a MAGA hat with the words "the first Purge" on it.
Yeah, so if you missed that, that's your own fault. But as for the Forever Purge, I think I kind of undersold it when I wrote my quick thought reviews, because for whatever reason, maybe I wasn't quite in the right mindset, or maybe just the theater that I was in was not exactly the greatest. But like, just thinking back on it and thinking a little bit more about current events, yeah, I think over time this one will probably hold up the most. Are there any particular characters in this movie who stood out the most to you guys? Jacob, I'll start with you.
Characters, I guess Josh Lucas
and as Dylan, his name is. I guess he kind of stood out to me, but he was kind of racist. Like he did try to hide his racism when he was talking with Juan when they're driving to Mexico to kind of hide it. He's like, I think the culture should just leave each other alone, you know?
I think Josh Lucas is one of those actors who kind of has like that like perfect sort of punchable face. Like
Yeah.
I really hated his character in for v Ferrari, who is like sort of a similar sort of the very conservative, no nonsense, sticks to the rules kind of guy. And his personality is basically, I'm not racist, but
Yeah, exactly.
what about you, Hayden? Any characters that stood out?
I really liked Ana de la Reguera.
Yeah.
I'm pronouncing that right, as Adela. I thought she was really cool. I really liked how she took a lot of action and did things. And I thought she was a really interesting character, and I thought the actress De La Reguera did a really good job.
Same. I think the love, like the love story between her and Tenoch Huerta as Juan, that was probably my favorite part of the story. And it's like it's their arc where you really kind of you care the most about seeing them make it out okay through all of this chaos.
I also oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I also just want to bring up that one crazy couple that like shows up, and the guy keeps calling his wife mother.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make any further comment, but hopefully you can connect the dots with where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Also, I got to give a shout out to Will Patton, who isn't in it for long, unfortunately, but just seeing him show up, even for like the first act of the film, is still kind of nice.
He's a very entertaining actor, Will Patton.
So are we getting into spoiler territory, or
yeah, let's dive into some spoilers.
Something that I thought was really interesting was how the Purge itself does not last very long in the film proper.
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes.
It ends like the Purge itself ends like maybe 30 minutes into the actual movie. And I thought that was a really interesting decision to make. That it was like kind of breaking like some of the conventions that you would expect from this franchise.
I gotta say, like, having the Purge and so early this time, it kind of gives the rest of this movie a sort of tension. You know, like okay, the Purge is over, but you know, these other Purgers, they're not afraid of being arrested. Now, so that just adds to like this sense of like doom and just tension, you know, that anything can happen now.
I wonder why that's so disturbing right now.
I know, right?
It really makes you think. I don't really know what to say here. It's wow, just really makes you think.
I know we kind of briefly glossed over the fact that this is allegedly the final Purge movie, but considering where this movie ends, how much more story do you think is left? Because I have some ideas of where they can take this moving forward.
Well, the only way I can see it happen, like the Purge going on after this, is if it becomes international or something.
That's one idea. Hayden, anything come to mind? Short
I
short of the obvious next step would be a direct attack on the founding fathers.
The new founding fathers.
Yep.
I don't know where I mean we might be like beyond that at this point. That seems like just kind of the obvious like next step, but I feel like they could make another one, and I do like know how they could, but it's just a matter of articulating it into words. Like I guess it would be interesting to see like the aftermath of the country just kind of imploding in on itself. Spoilers. Which is what the ending of the movie was kind of suggesting, which pretty bleak, pretty bleak ending.
Yep.
And it was not subtle at all, which again, not what this franchise is exactly going for.
I was kind of getting an Americanized sort of Mad Max vibe from, you know, whatever happens after the revolt. If say the next movie is called Beyond the Purge, and this the setting is America after the revolt on the new founding fathers. The whole country just goes completely to shit, and that would be a pretty interesting setting after everything that's happened so far.
You know, real people are saying that America may get into another civil war, which I don't know how true that is, but it's definitely an idea for the writers for this franchise to play with.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Can we talk about the directing of this movie? Everaldo Valerio Goat.
Yeah, the directing and just the production design I thought were really well done.
How about that one shot when they're just walking through El Paso?
You know, as soon as I saw that title card come up, I am like my mind immediately turned to Josh and Crystal.
Yeah. I like the little touches, like when Adela and Cassie, Dylan's wife, who's pregnant, when they go into that abandoned movie theater and Dracula is playing, the Bela Lugosi one, and then that like skeleton bat kind of drops on, like it's like a cheesy prop or something. That was kind of eerie in a way.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
There's just like this. Like this is the most tension I've ever really felt watching, and there were moments of like genuine tension throughout the franchise. Like one particular instance I can think of was in election year when they're about to sacrifice those people in that church. That was, I think, might be my favorite scene in the entire franchise was that church scene. Because it just showed, you know, what happens when politics and religion mix. You know, kind of the dangers that come forward in that. Or also, I also like the part in Anarchy where they're basically auctioned by those wealthy people.
I think that's the scene that sticks out to me the most.
So I do think there are flashes of brilliance in these movies, actually. Yeah, I don't know if it's because, you know, they don't like they lean a little too much on the action in some places, but you know, or the ending, it doesn't pack as quite as much of a punch as it should. But you know, overall, I do think that there is a lot of potential here that I still think we're a long way from actually making a truly great Purge movie, and it has come close to that to happen.
What I will say is I think that this franchise does something that I really appreciate. It really does like do world building incredibly well. It really like builds upon like the past movies and really just says, okay, we're gonna do it in over here now, and we'll see what's going on over in this part of the country and over here and what happened at the beginning and how this happened here. And it doesn't really do it like all like where it feels overwhelming, they kind of give you like enough like breadcrumbs that you're just kind of, you do feel like it's its own world, I think. And I think that is something that a lot of sequels should do more.
I'll go so far. I think the first Purge movie would actually benefit it if it was released somewhere in the middle of the series. Like if Anarchy was the first one. Because the Purge, it would have been like cool, like to see like a larger story. I think if the Purge, like if the first one, if you just want to show a smaller story, maybe it would have been interesting. After seeing like such like big, movies that take place in like these cities, and like they talk about these group of people, and this one, the Purge, it comes up and it's just about a family. I think that would have actually been interesting.
You might be onto something with that.
Or like at least like make it like a little like spin-off movie.
Yeah, because
that regard, and not like say like, oh, this is like maybe like do like kind of sort of what Spiral did with the Saw franchise, like Invasion from the Book of Purge or something. I don't know.
As there has to be mentioned, I literally just found this out. Apparently, James DeMonaco, this franchise, this premise was inspired by a Star Trek episode called "The Return of the Arkans."
Huh.
It's where the crew, they're on this planet, where they're controlled by an unseen ruler, according to Wikipedia, and enjoy a night of violence during festival. Any guys Trekkies?
I'm not that big a Trekkie, but just hearing the premise of that episode, it does kind of make sense where he'd get that inspiration.
I kind of wish James DeMonaco wasn't like the main architect of this series. I do wish he let other people write the scripts for these movies. I think the Purge election year would have benefited if it was written by a Black person.
You're not wrong.
Or the first Purge, I mean.
That one at least did get a Black director, which is something.
Gerard McMurray.
Yep. Who I honestly think would have done a great job if he directed the Blade movie that's coming out.
Yeah. Has anyone have you guys forgotten that there was a TV series based on this series? Because I have.
I watched a couple of episodes, and from what I hear, it's not bad. I just have not had the time to. I watched a couple of episodes, enjoyed it enough, but I kind of just didn't have enough time anymore. I got really distracted by a bunch of other things, and before I knew it, it was like over. So, my bad.
Yeah, I never got around to seeing it either, but from what I heard, it's the second season that has the good stuff, whereas season 1 is just kind of okay. And boy, does that not sound how the film franchise turned out.
What would you guys say about how this series kind of handles the premise? Do you think these movies, any of them, make the most out of the premise?
The most, no, but I think they do what they can, and for what they are, they're decently effective political commentary films that do their best.
One problem I do kind of have with it is that idea like all crime is legal within like in 12 hours, and this is for American citizens to get all that anger out of their system, all that rage, and like it kind of implies that anyone can partake in this sort of thing, like the most otherwise peaceful person could cave into that. And I think it would have been cool to see one actually struggle with that temptation, as most of the people we see who partake in this sort of thing are already like white supremacists or crime bosses or shoplifters.
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I think the whole point is that theory is like meant to be BS, and it's just used as an excuse for all the worst people to like do things and take their anger out on.
Like literally the first movie.
Isn't that kind of the point of the first Purge, where the new founding fathers like made it pretty much like explicit that the idea of the purge was basically population control.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like in another franchise, I think sure, but in this one, I think like it's deliberately like they were just making it up as an excuse to be able to kill all like the homeless and the minorities.
I just say maybe it would have been nice to see like an otherwise decent person kind of be tempted to do that, and actually have like more morally great characters. Because I'm not really sure like if Ethan Hawke in the first one really qualifies as a great character, even though like they may have tried to do one with him.
I honestly don't remember much of Ethan Hawke's character outside of like his, slicked back hair and clean shaven face.
I remember that he was Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke, and that he's a human being.
Yep.
And he has
wears
the
clothes.
face, I think.
Other than that, I remember next to nothing.
He was like the guy, like he profited off of selling security systems to these people, and the neighbors were apparently pissed. Okay, well, that's one example of kind of otherwise decent people being tempted to do bad things. Is they hated that he was basically boasting about how rich he was because he could afford this huge security system on his house during the purge that no one else could.
Another thing is like that I will say about the franchise, like and the first, well, this is more so for the first one. They marketed the first film extremely well. Like they marketed that movie to the point where I guarantee that people remember the marketing more than they remember the actual film, which has helped.
That sounds accurate.
You mean more than the America? Was like, was there any other like specific marketing that I just forgot?
There were a bunch of posters that were kind of marketing it as if it were like a real thing that was about to happen. Like there were like a bunch of like plain posters with like the like little symbol that were like all crime will be legalized for 12 hours and I thought that was like, I remember that pretty
like what they did with Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, they did like kind of something like that. They had some pretty good posters that I saw like everywhere back in 2013.
I think the one that most people associate with that first movie is the one with the the guy in the mask.
Yeah.
Can we also bring up in the first one, we're kind of diverging here, but what about the guy Rice Wakefield as the polite leader who just had that permanent shit-eating grin?
Oh yeah, he was pretty good. I won't lie, he was very enjoyable.
Yeah, a little out of place, but hey, he was fun.
Yeah, I remember him now.
He knew what movie the franchise should have been, so I think in a lot of ways his performance probably led to like what the franchise ended up becoming.
Should we talk a little more about the Forever Purge? Does it feel like we're kind of diverging here?
I mean, if there's anything else that you want to bring up,
was there anything that jumped at you, Hayden?
I think I mentioned like most aspects that I think that most aspects that stood out to me have already been mentioned, but yeah.
The one last thing that I want to mention, and it was basically the reason I wanted to see this movie, is I don't think we have quite enough horror / Western movies, like Westerns that kind of borrow horror elements, and this, if nothing else, this movie kind of it scratched that itch for me.
If it's a big enough success, I would wonder if like maybe this could like spark some kind of resurgence of like Western type movies. It would be interesting because that genre is kind of been a little bit in limbo. I think it would be interesting if that were to make like kind of a comeback. Every once in a while, we'll get a pretty decent Western, I think.
Yeah.
And I will say I'm not like the biggest Western fan, but I think it would just be interesting if a genre that kind of faltered a little bit just kind of popped back up randomly like that, just from a zeitgeist standpoint.
Yeah, like this year we're getting more musicals, which is always a good thing. So if say in 2022 or 2023 we get more westerns, that would be pretty sweet. Jacob, anything else you want to add?
Not really. I liked that the part with the cage, that was intense in its own way. It kind of felt like a Saw movie.
Yeah, no, that I definitely got Saw vibes from that scene.
I liked it when she attacked that neo-Nazi in the paddy wagon.
Always satisfying to see neo-Nazis get
Yeah.
This
Like,
is a daily reminder
calls
to
them-
Nazis.
She called him a fucking pig.
I will say pigs don't deserve that. Pigs are wonderful animals that should not be compared to Nazis. I am very pro pig. Pigs are too lovely to be compared to any horrible person.
Yeah.
I think just the word pig sounds disgusting enough that it's used in a derogatory fashion, but otherwise I agree. The animal itself is just
pigs are like very underrated and adorable animals.
There's this movie I want to check out called Gunta, which is just a documentary about farm animals, and the title character is like this mama pig, and I really want to see that.
Has anybody seen the trailer for the new Nicolas Cage movie just called Pig?
No.
I've seen just a little bit of the trailer, but it's a Nicolas Cage movie, so it's going, if nothing else, it's going to be interesting.
It's basically, it looks like John Wick, but with like a pig, which I'm down for.
That sounds fun.
And Nick Cage has that movie where he's playing himself called The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
That sounds like it'll be this generation's being John Malkovich.
Yeah.
So it seems like we're kind of winding down on this episode. Final thoughts. The Purge franchise just as a whole is, again, for the most part, it almost has like that same sort of consistency as the Saw franchise, where the quality of each individual movie may vary, but on the whole, it can be a pretty satisfying experience when viewed as a whole. And I'm curious to one day check out the TV series. As for the Forever Purge, yes, go see it if this is the kind of movie that you're into. If you liked any of the previous films, then you're probably going to like this one just as much, if not a little more.
Or like if you just don't feel safe going to a movie, like if you don't feel quite safe, you can always wait till it comes on video on demand.
That's right. And
remember, Universal has a thing where if a movie makes less than $50 million opening weekend, then it'll go to like video on demand in 17 days.
Oh.
And any more than that, it's 30 days.
Okay.
So F9 is going to be in theaters for a while.
Of course it is. Hayden, any final thoughts on the Forever Purge or the franchise at large?
If you like the past movies, then you will probably enjoy this. When you want to go entirely depends on you, but
the Forever Purge, it's a good one, I guess. It's, again, like the Purge movies, it's not a complete masterpiece or anything, but the stuff that's good about it is really good, which is about what I can say about the rest of these movies. It's a solid entry, I suppose. Yeah. If I'm still curious, like if they find a way to continue it, I check it out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will continue this in some form or another. So yeah, that will bring this episode to a close. Next week, we are talking about Black Widow, and then after that, we've got a special podcast for Loki because that show just I just really want to talk about that
Also,
show.
I think we should also mention we were going to talk about Summer of Soul, but we will postpone that for a while until we have a black co-host on here as well, so he can explain like what he thought about it, because I think we're at a point where we need to have like more accurate voices to describe certain movies after talking about Judas and Black Messiah, One Eye in Miami, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom through a non-black perspective. So yeah, we definitely want to talk about that. But in the meantime, check out Summer of Soul.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so before we head out of here, Hayden, where can everyone find you online?
I can be found on Twitter at the Hayden Wilder and on Instagram at Hayden Wilder.
And Jacob?
You can find me on Facebook and Twitter at Joe Crable, Krehbiel. I am also part of the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group, and I have a Letterboxd Streamin' Demon.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And you can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can also check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also check us out on Podchaser. You can listen to all of our previous podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, check out renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this installment of Renegade Marquee. Thank you guys for joining, and we will catch you guys later. Peace out.
Good night, and God bless America.